Before meets after. So cute. So please try to subscribe and turn on your notification bell for more updates on beauty tips. So welcome, my name is Busayo Akinseye and this is my studio. Today we'll be going into makeup. So this is Cetaphil. It's a moisturizer I use to start my makeup, and this is Miss Mective Power Seal to prep the face, and that is Aqua Grip. So this is her before. She's turning her face. At this point, we are done prepping. So this is Aqua Grip again that I use after the moisturizer and the Mismetics Power Seal. Then I go in with a spray because I'm trying to create a dewy look. And I'm using Black Up foundation and a Fallible with my illuminating cream highlighter to create my dewy look. And I'm mixing my concealer, a darker and a lighter shade concealer. So I'm putting it under her eye, applying it under an eye in order to cover any blemish that might be there. So I'm applying it carefully. So this one is One Money in Elegel. So I've started with my foundation. I'm starting with my skin work. I'm using my foundation brush first to apply evenly. Then I would use my puff. That's a beauty blender, makeup sponge, whatever you know it as, to dab in and make my makeup have a flawless and even skin finish. So here we have it. Please concentrate on the areas that you have bone. So that's your jawline, your cheekbone. Please make sure you apply foundation is well covered so you don't have patches or fine lines there. So I'm using my brush to apply evenly all around. You can use your puff to do it depending on what works for you. So I'm using my beauty blender, my puff, and this is what you achieve. So all I'm trying to do is to get an even and flawless finish on my skin work. So on the forehead, you don't put too much foundation so that it doesn't cake up, because that's where you sweat and all of that. So you put little foundation and make sure you blend in very well. Blend, blend, blend. So right now I'm using Pure Beige in Elegel, and I'm using it to highlight the under eye. I'm using my brush first, like I always do, like I did, to apply. You can use a small flat brush because I'm using a big flat brush. Then I'm going to use my puff to blend it in. Just the way you're seeing it right now, that's what I'm doing. I'm just applying, I've not started blending. So I'm using the brush to apply evenly so I don't have fine lines. So yes, here we have it. Just highlighting under the eye. I'm using my puff now to dab it in so it all comes out flawless and matte. Yeah, I want it to be flawless. In as much as I'm trying to create a dewy look, I would also want it to be matte, so it doesn't mean dewy does not mean oily. Just to give that baby girl smashing look. Yeah, so I'm using a darker shade of concealer. So in contouring, use a shade or two shades darker of the person's skin shade. So I am using a shade darker for concealing her nose, and I used for the under eye, I used a shade lighter to highlight the under eye. Yeah, so we have it right now. I'm concealing. So what I'm doing, that is where we call the contour guide. That is a contour guide. So I'm contouring with a shade darker. That's why it looks like it's not really showing, but it's safer because she's light skinned, and putting too much might not make the face look even. So I'm using my puff to blend in, So you blend, 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 blend until it looks like it's no more there. So the aim of contouring and highlight is just bringing out our detailed features. Yes, so I'm using a compact powder to set our under eye first. I'm using a compact powder to set the under eye first. So the purpose of this is just to make it matte and very, very flawless. So I'm using a brush, a round head brush now, to apply a little more compact powder. So in case you know you're not seeing, you don't have enough, or it looks like it's disappearing, yeah, you can use your brush, then pat it with your puff even later. So now this is my setting powder, is airspun. I'm using my puff to place it in the inner corner, so the tight area of our eye, under our eye, where you think the eye can crease. So that's where I'm placing the setting powder. So I'm placing my setting powder now under our eye to make our eye highlighted. So I'm using my brush now to add a little more, to make it more defined, to add a little more highlight powder, my setting powder, to make it more defined. So when I'm done with that, as soon as I'm done with that, I'll do the same to the nose. Compact powder. Now I'm doing the contouring with a compact powder. So I'm using the same one shade darker powder. You can use your contour powder. So I'm using a compact contour powder to apply at the side of our nose to define a contour, the nose. So there you have it. So you make sure while you apply, you are blending. While you are applying, you are blending. So after then, I'm going to do same under our cheekbone. I'm applying contour powder under our cheekbone, up all the way to the side of our forehead. Now please don't mind the band that is there. She's using it to hold down the edge of our wig. So you take it all the way to the side of her forehead and to the jawline. That's your contour powder. I do the same at the other side. Same contouring at the side all the way to the side of her forehead, and also under a cheekbone and a jawline. So when you're done with that, sure while you're applying, you're blending. It's very important that you blend well. I'm going straight to the eyebrows. So with a thin line, I'm using Davis pencil in 03. Yeah, you can use 18. So I'm using 3 because I'm just using it for the outline of the brow. And I'm using my DD pencil for the filling of the brow. So I'm trying to create S strokes at the beginning. Yeah, I'm trying to create S strokes at the beginning. And I also use it to fill in any space I find inside the brow. So that's what I'm doing. The same thing goes to the other brow. You outline a thin defining line. Then I'm going to do the same I did on the left eye to the right. So whatever happens to your left eye happens to your right, and whatever happens to the right eye happens to the left. So now I'm creating that same strokes, air strokes, and filling in our brows. So it depends on you. You might want your brow very thin, you might want a bit thick, it doesn't matter. So in highlighting the brow, use a shade or 2 shade lighter concealer. I'm using 2 shade lighter concealer. That's 2 shades lighter concealer of our own original skin tone. So mine is Ellie Girl in pure beige. That's what I'm using for at the middle and at the end. While at the beginning, I'm using an exact shade. Yes, so that is that. I'm doing the same. So I'm going to blend it down. Do the same on the other eye, on a right eye now. So I'll blend it down. Make sure you blend it down because it has to be even. It has to be very even. No patch, no crack. It has to be even. So you blend in very well with a small detailed brush, either your angled brush or your flat edge brush. Then I'm patterning with my puff. Yeah, you can use what you have, and what you have should not be far from the normal beauty blender or the eye beauty blender. It's a smaller size. Then for the top, you use a shade darker or an exact shade. So I am using an exact shade at the top. So you make sure your hand is as close as possible to the outline you did with your pencil. So that's what I'm creating, and you blend it upward so it blends in into a skin. So same thing goes to the other brow, and that's what I'm doing here too, as close as possible to the outline, and you blend into a skin. So make sure you blend well. So if you see that there is any flaw on the brow, you can make adjustments. It's your brow. Makeup is art. It's not that deep. So I'm just trying to define. So right now I'm using a compact powder, a shade lighter compact powder for her. And I'm using it to make the eye matte because I've applied something cream. So I need to apply powder so it's matte. Now we're going straight to eyeshadow. So for the eye, we're going to be doing the crease first. So I'm using a magenta to blend in a crease. I'm not using brown, I'm using magenta for the crease. So I'm blending in circular motion from outer corner in. Blend, 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 blend. Blend it so well that it's also close to disappearing. So do the same on the other eye. From the outer corner in. From outer corner in, circular motion. And you blend, blend, blend. Please be very careful. Use a round edge soft brush for your crease. So blending is very easy. Please don't use a stiff brush. You need to use something very fluffy and soft for your blending. Then after, I'm using brown, a deep brown over it. So it tones down that reddish look. So here you have it. I'm using a deep brown over it to tone down the reddish look. So I'm creating something close to a smoky. So after that, I'm using a cream matte eyeshadow at the brow bone. So I'm blending my crease eyeshadow with my brow bone eyeshadow. So you just soften out here. So now I'm going to be using the eyeshadow primer. So the rule of the eyeshadow primer is the more eyeshadow primer you apply, the more your eyeshadow tends to accentuate, like it pops. You get? So the more eyeshadow primer you apply, the more your eyeshadow pops. So it's just logical. So if you use little eyeshadow primer, then the eyeshadow you apply there will barely show. If you use more, it will be very obvious. So I'm just somewhere in the middle. I don't want it too much, I don't want it too little, because I'm trying to create a soft glam. And my soft glam is mostly going to be defined by my eye and my lip. So I'm using like a custard yellow and cream. So I'm applying part into the inner corner, then out gradually to the middle. Inner corner gradually to the middle. So I'm stopping at 2/3 of my eye because I already have a darker shade of eyeshadow at the end, creating a kind of smoky. So yeah, I'm doing the same thing on the other eye. From inner corner out to the middle to the dot of the eye. Gradually. Yes, so there you go. So I'm blending both in, the bright color and the dark color. You shouldn't see the line where they meet. So now I want to line our under eye. I'm trying to create an inner wing. So yeah, please don't force the inner wing. If the person have, yeah, great, go ahead. But if the person doesn't have, please don't force it. If you do have, go ahead. If you don't want it, don't force it. So when the person starts tearing up like this, you tell them to sniff and you continue. So I'm creating the inner wing slightly and a thin dark lining, after which I'm going to line the top. So I'm going to create a small wing outside because I already have an inner wing, so she doesn't look too dramatic. So I'm just going to create a very small wing at the outer corner. And yes, so I'll be doing another tutorial on how to do the wing lining, but for now let's just work with this. So this is it, and from the inner corner to the middle. So it depends on you. You might be able to take it from in, out, out, in, middle, out, in, middle. So I'm doing the same thing I did on that eye to the other eye. So there you have it. You have to be as careful and as detailed as possible so you don't miss it. Don't have it too long or too short, or it doesn't smudge or smear. So that is the eye makeup, depending on your choice. Like I said, it's a soft glam. So I've applied blush. I'm applying the bronzer, and the bronzer is placed above a cheekbone. The blush is on a cheekbone. And doing the same thing on the other side. Make sure everything blends into each other. And in the middle, we're placing the highlight on the bridge of a nose. Placing the highlight the bridge of a nose. So that's it. Placing it the T-zone. We call it a T-zone. The forehead down to the bridge of the nose, the tip of a lip. That's the cubic bowl. At this time, I'm trying to fix lash on the eye. So I'm fixing the under eyelash. One at a time. Slow and steady makes the pace fast. I'm fixing a lash on the lower lash. I'm fixing the lash on the other eye. On the lower lash. So you need to take your time when doing this. Really, it's not compulsory. If you have lower lash, just use your mascara to give it volume. But you want extra drama. Yes, so this is a process. So going into fixing the falsies at a topper lash. First, you create volume with your mascara. Apply your mascara so you can create volume. And also get off excess, fall out excess from eyeshadow, from powder up the lash. Just make sure you're using your tweezer to fix it. It's easier to use a tweezer to fix your lash. And it has to be fixed as close as possible to your lash line. As close as possible to your lash line. Same to the other eye. Make sure it's as close as possible to the lash line. And you use your tweezer to sit the falsies on your original lash. It's important you make them as close as possible to your lash line. So now I'm going to prep a lip. I'm using a lip balm to prep a lip. She has a bold lip, so I'm going to give in a nude bold lip. There's some lining with a brown lip stain. Yep, lining with a brown lip stain. She has the cubic bowl. Every makeup artist wants that. They want a client with a full lip. So we have it. So you have to be very careful and detailed when working on the lip. So I'm doing the top and the bottom lip lining. And I'm trying to blend it in so it doesn't just sit in there like a line. Now I'm going to be doing the inner filling of our lip. I'll be using two nude lip stains, a bright one and a medium one, medium lip color. So I'm filling it, the inner lip, with both. So when you're done with this, you smack so it evens out. You make sure you tell the person to smack or you smack. So she's going to smack again. Then I'll be using my disposable lip applicator to blend into each other. The lined lip and the filled lip stain. And apply the gloss, a little gloss. So it doesn't look too matte. So now I'm defining the lip with a concealer. Exact shade of concealer. That's what I'm using to define her lip. So my model is feeling herself. She's already feeling pretty. The composure is top notch.